they teach you very well how to not get sued, but they don't teach you anything about business. So quite honestly, there's a lot of entrepreneurs within the industry, and there's a lot of hard workers. But for some reason, the hard workers are like the top 1% to 2% of real estate. And then there's 98% of people that are trying to figure it out. 98% of them are trying to figure out what the hell they want. It's impatience. It's procrastination. It's lack of ambition. You don't know what you don't know. And I think most importantly is not being able to push through the uncomfortable.
But you had a video go viral on Instagram. So therefore, you're qualified to be a real estate coach. And our industry is thriving with non-producers coaching people who want to be producers.
When my client receives this auto email, how are they going to feel? Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, let's just kind of talk in terms of how did we land on Accelerate? You know, I think we were having a conversation over dinner, and we were thinking of this wild idea of what we've been hearing in the real estate industry, what you're hearing from the free trainings that you guys are conducting, what we're hearing from the trainings that we're conducting, and just kind of so much noise that's in between. And how do we get these guys to stop kind of pacing the market and really accelerate their business, their growth, their mindset, everything that's happening, right? And I don't really remember how the word accelerate came about, quite honestly.
You know, I think it's because we were saying something about the frustration we hear almost every event we do. We're hearing somebody say something along the lines of, I spent 3 months with this app and it didn't really get me what I needed. Then I went over to this, then I went over to this production system. Then I was using this CRM. It's all these solutions and all these, the next shiny object comes along, we spin our wheels with. And so I think with us, it was like spinning in circles and spinning wheels. That's what we hear. The main frustration out there is I'm overwhelmed with all this stuff and I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. Mm-hmm. So we were like, okay, how do you get out of that, get pointed in the right direction, and then accelerate? So,
well, you touched on something. Why do you feel like it's so easy as a real estate agent or for real estate agents and people in the industry to just get so quickly overwhelmed?
Well, one, because if we go back to Accelerate first. If we go on this street right down here and mash the gas, we're going to get a ticket. We might hit somebody walking, right? Hit a parked car because it's a side street. You have to be on a street or a highway that allows you to accelerate. So if you want to go fast, it's all about your systems and your processes. And now the infrastructure you'd have in place. And that then to your second question around why people get stuck, you know, I do trainings all the time on AI and different apps and like what you should be using, what you need to be saying no to. And I think what it is people have not identified what they need to be building. Like, what process do I need to be building so that I can just go double down on these activities? If it's more video, if it's more lead generation, if it's more sales training process, where's your strategy going? And then are you surrounding yourself with the right strategic partners to help you in those strategic areas, wherever it is? Mm-hmm. Some people I talk to are great at lead gen, right? But then they don't know how to close the deal. Some people are great at sales, but they're struggling to find more people to get in front of. Some people are great at those two things. They have no visibility with video, right? They're not very omnichannel in the way that they reach out. So for us, when we thought about Accelerate and doing this event, it's like we're helping people execute on this stuff already a lot. And we don't want an event that's just another inspirational, you know, I hate to say it, but kind of like pie in the sky. You got this, you can do it.
Right.
Oh, just be true to yourself type stuff. That's all important. But if you don't have a strategy and you don't have a road to accelerate on, you don't know where you're going, go be true all you want. It's not going to result in any business.
Yeah.
Right. So the value happens when I know what I need to do. I have the tools I need to do it. And I have the right partners to help me achieve that. Now I can mash the gas and I'm going to see ROI with my process.
Right. So making sure you're pointing in the right direction with the right infrastructure. And the last thing you just said there is actually mash the gas. And that's kind of what we came up with, the tagline. Do not try. Do not try. Stop trying. Stop spinning wheels. Know where you're headed and then mash the gas. Actually do it.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole event's going to be about, is breaking it down so very practical.
Right.
Clicking through the buttons. I know at moments in the event, you're going to be sharing your phone screen, walking people through, click this, do this. The gasps that happen when we're doing trainings, like, that's where I think agents are asking for that level. It's like, I need a guide. I feel like I'm going in the right direction. Now I need a guide.
I want to touch on that really quickly. agents are consistently fed with a lot of shiny objects.
Mm-hmm.
There's a coaching industry that is emerging. Every single day, there's a brand new real estate coach. Every single day, there's a new business coach. But the crazy thing about it all is when you peel back the layers from at least what we've seen, not just with our own clients, but with people that we've been able to get in front of, talk to at events, at conferences, and things as such, you peel back the layers, and a lot of these guys are just not practitioners. So I think it's a really good distinction for us to make sure that people know at this event that you're not coming to learn from a guru. You're not coming to learn from a quote unquote coach. You're coming to learn from somebody that's practiced this, that's done this day in and day out. Exactly. And people that have genuinely been doing this for themselves for quite a long time and now are looking at the industry as a whole and saying, okay, it's time. Let's go ahead and step in and let's kind of claim not even the title, but like let's claim what we know we can do for these guys, because I think from the very beginning, the reason why we clicked is because the question that we've always asked ourselves is, what's in it for them more so than what's in it for us? You know? So
to the shiny objects, and you're right, people jumping after something. And it's so funny to me, like so funny to me. I was talking to a real estate agent the other day, and they're sending me these like very produced videos. I need to be doing these. And I know this real estate agent really well, right? I'm not be doing these great produced videos, and I need this on my social. It's going to give me business. And I'm like, okay, what does your monthly like internal drip video to your database look like?
Uh-huh.
Like in real estate, people are chasing these big shiny objects, and then you go back to the fundamental sales process of your ideal client database. Are you even nurturing it? How are you nurturing it? Are you using video in that yet? Like, I'm not going to give away, like, everyone, we're going to really go into depth at the Accelerate event, but you want all these big things, but you're not even doing the basics.
So I want to ask you, Josh, because you get to see a lot of that at the back end with not just our own clients, but people that we've consulted with, that we're constantly helping, people that come to us just for a simple piece of advice on how to better execute on their back end systems. What are your thoughts with what?
Yeah. I mean, overwhelming majority of people, it's like they think that the grass is greener on the other side, and they think that someone's going to come along and like knight in shining armor save them in the way of someone coming to them with a house that they need to sell or with a house that they want to buy right now. And what I continuously talk about is you made a commitment to a time frame that you were going to have a process in place. You're going to commit to doing this, and you're going to see it all the way through. And during that process, there's going to be pitfalls that you'll encounter, and you're going to want to quit throughout the process. But what I always consistently say, month over month, call after call, is the results that they're looking for is behind the work that they're avoiding. I love that quote so much, because when you're at that low point of you have 1,000 leads, you have 1,000 people in your database, amazing. Well, stop trying to chase the next lead, and maybe work with what you have right now. Develop the systems out further and just go deeper with the experience that your leads have, your past clients have. Create true connection with those people, and then the results start coming. And then you can start getting fancy, and then you can start doing those highly produced videos. Right. But until you have those fundamental, the basics down, I think a lot of that stuff is just people trying to sell you something.
Correct. And I think it's the industry as a whole has chosen since 2021, and we're a very big part of it. I mean, when we started the business, we came into it, we said we're going to build and develop personal brands. We're going to create beautiful viral videos for you. We'll go ahead and not only shoot the videos, edit them, we'll distribute them, we'll advertise them. And the reality is that if you get, let me just say this, if you get 1 million eyeballs on a bad product, you will still make sales, but it'll still be a bad product, you know? But if you get a very targeted group of eyeballs on something that develops and has an experience, something that can genuinely and tangibly assist and help somebody into understanding, cool, I know what issues I have, I am problem aware, now I need to know what the next steps I need to take are. I feel like that's a lot more valuable. Yet what messes me up about real estate agents is they want to shortcut that. right? They want to shortcut it to, no, I just want the deal right now. And what I say to them is, well, like the other day, I turned away a lady that was ready to hand us out. Like it was like a $10,000 deal. I turned her away and she says, well, I signed up for this call because I want to work with you, Michael. And I said, I appreciate you for that. But the reality is that you're saying that you want to achieve 6 million in production in the next 6 months. And your best year, you only did 2 million. That is a $4 million gap that we need to close. How did you get the 2 million to begin with? She says, Zillow leads. I'm like, okay. And if we do this for a year's time and you only get one deal, how are you going to feel? She's like, well, at least I know it's working. And I said, but would you prefer to know that it's working or would you prefer to have the deals? She says, of course I would have the deals. So at this point, I had to sit her down and say, how much were you paying for Zillow? She says, I paid about $1,500 a month. For how long? For 3 months. And I said, in 3 months, you did $2 million. I was like, let's multiply that over a year's period. You're going to end up the year at 6 to 9 million if you just keep doing what you're supposed to do. And that's the whole concept of, I think when we look at these other coaches, when we look at these other experts and gurus, I could have easily said, okay, give me your money and let's go ahead and let's do whatever we're going to do. But I just felt in my heart that I was in a better position to say to her, give your money to Zillow because those are the ready, hot now buyers or Google ads. And then once you have the income in place, then come back to me and let's establish your systems because truth be told, like anybody else, you sign up for the gym. And if you don't go on a consistent basis, you're not going to get the body that you want. And the only person that you have to be mad at is your inconsistency. It's yourself. So
I was doing a training on very, very tactically on sending videos. And the brokerage had a partnership with BombBomb, so it plugged into their CRM. So they basically had 10 free videos that you get just through being with the brokerage, 10 free videos. After 10, and you ran out, they had this little upgrade you could pay. So all the questions were coming in around like, what does the upgrade have? What's in the upgrade? And I have the whole blown version. I use it. I'm one of BombBomb's top users. And so I told him what's in the upgrade. Oh, I need that. Oh, there's screen share. There's a library. There's this, there's that. There's tracking, analytics, and all that. But they have 10 free videos here. Oh, I need that. I need that. And isn't it true when we click on something online, we got into it because there was this free thing, but then, oh, there's this, and oh, there's more. And it's levels. Why? Because they're tricking our brain. They're tricking our psychology out that fear of missing out.
I can't be great unless I pay more for all this.
No, great unless I have everything. And here's what I told everybody. Just like you teach with ChatGPT and the free versus paid. Go make it your habit to exhaust your 10 a month. And I want you to do that for 3 months. I want you to use your 10 free videos for 3 months in a row to prove to yourself that you have now the muscle memory to click record. Then and only then do you pay for the upgrade to level up. And herein lies the great secret. What you just said about all the gurus. Saw this post. It's a little negative, a little controversial, but it's true. It says, you couldn't sell a house, but you had a video go viral on Instagram. So therefore, you're qualified to be a real estate coach. Okay? And our industry is thriving with non-producers coaching people who want to be producers.
Yep.
And what Josh just said, if you want to just pause this podcast, just recording wherever you're listening to this or whatever, the results you want lie behind the work you're unwilling to do. I probably just butchered that, but
no, that was perfect.
I love.
Well,
we all know it. We all know it. We keep wanting to trick ourselves out because our brain wants to avoid pain. We are programmed. It's not our fault, but it is our problem you have to face. We are born with negativity bias. We're born with discontentment, and we're born with our brain wanting to get away from pain. It's how we survive as a species. But understanding that neuroscience thing empowers us to say, wait a minute, maybe on the other side of pain is the result I want.
Mm-hmm. And we never want to sit here and like yell at real estate agents because they're most real estate agents I work with are some of the hardest working people I know. When we say hidden behind the work you don't want to do, sometimes I think it's the work that they don't know they need to do or they haven't identified they need to do yet. So there's a lot of I want to get, sure, you want to get the client and get the sell. You want to get the client and get the listing, right? Whatever it is. But there's a series of steps you need to take in between identifying somebody and closing. And so many folks either have too few steps, or their steps are not well thought out, or their steps are blending in with everyone else because your steps are using AI generated drips from your CRM that go right in someone's spam or promotions folder. And so like, when the rubber meets the road, you got to differentiate yourself in the way that you start with point A to getting to the close. And I think a lot of people are willing to do the work. When we coach people, sometimes it's just like, where do I start? What steps do I need to take? And I think that's the beauty of why we're trying to bring Accelerate to everybody is let's open that playbook. Let's really give a process, not just inspiration strategy, but here's a strategy with a tactical step. Strategy with a tactical step.
I also think permission to put guardrails. And the guardrails, what are those in your business? What you're going to say no to. So I think a lot of times doing the right work or instead of touching one thing very shallowly and then this thing very shallowly and all these things very shallowly, it's like okay, let's go ahead and just either, like Michael was saying, pause these things for now because it's not the right time for these.
Correct.
They might not be bad things. Maybe some guru told you need this and maybe at some point in the future you need that. But for now, what's going to give you the lift in your business today with what you got?
Right.
These three things. Now go dig very deep. And you said it, dig deep on the process. So like when it comes to where are agents at today in this environment, in all the changes? I mean, we're hearing like half of real estate agents are going to be gone. The NAR stuff, we hear all this stuff, right? All the rumors and all this stuff. And it's kind of an interesting time. It could be very opportunistic for some, very positive for some, very negative for others. What processes, what are those processes right now over the next 2-3 years that are the most important in your guys' mind?
It's a good question. I think, and I mentioned this on our Monday meeting. Every Monday we have our team meeting with everyone. And we're talking about kind of the changes because there's been news going around with all the stuff with NAR. And we're kind of discussing like, okay, everything happens, commissions, everything happens the way that people are thinking it's going to happen, and get to a point where it's like, okay, well, you have to show your value, or you have to show some sort of benefit and truly be a marketer or a business person and create a really valuable offer and care about the consumer and get really into the mind of the consumer. And specifically like talking about buyer side, I think there's going to be a really big shift in the way that there's going to be lots of people that phase out, but I think there's a huge opportunity for people to treat it as a business and almost approach it like someone would a marketing agency. Like approach your business like a marketing agency would, or some sort of actual business rather than someone that's, working with a buyer here or there because their friend recommended them, or, they just have deals fall in their lap, but really approaching it like a business. So starting off by getting specific with who you want to work with, right, and then building everything out from that. But I think it's just the three main things that we always talk about back and forth is copy, closing, and speaking. Those three essential, I guess, fundamentals to practice on a consistent basis, and seeing how that can fit into every area of your business. Doing those fundamentals on a consistent basis.
One of the things I want to piggyback off of that with what Andrew, what you were saying is what they need to understand and they need to know is, first and foremost, you get licensed, okay? So you do like 50 hours, in some states you do 40 hours, in some states you do 60 hours, and they teach you very well how to not get sued. But they don't teach you anything about business. So quite honestly, there's a lot of entrepreneurs within the industry and there's a lot of hard workers. But for some reason, the hard workers are like the top 1 to 2% of real estate. And then there's 98% of people that are trying to figure it out, which is why they look at so many different shiny objects, right? So when we boil things down to, well, what actually works for them is, I think it's very important for them to understand the game that they are playing, right? I love that you said, they need to be like, we're marketers, like on our end, we're marketers that offer a system. You guys are marketers that offer a product/system on the sales side of things. They are marketers that offer houses. right? So it's having that frame of mind, number one. But number two, I think it's very important for the real estate agent to understand that the game begins the second you get a lead. Because getting in front of people, it's called brand awareness. Getting a lead, it's called lead generation. Sales begins the second that you have a prospect to work with and to build that experience, that relationship with. And when we're in a market where 98% of them are trying to figure out what the hell they want, it's impatience, it's procrastination, it's lack of ambition. You don't know what you don't know. And I think most importantly is not being able to push through the uncomfortable, right? Like it's really about becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable and sharpening your skills. You know, those 3 high income skills that Josh talks about, which is copy, closing, speaking. What are the words that you are currently using in all of your marketing material that gets a person to say, I want that? You know, when you think of copy, it's literally that, like, what are the words that print money for me? When you think about closing is, well, sales, we can all do sales. Closing is a different skill set. Closing is not so much about learning from them, but about getting them to overcome their obstacles and their own objections, right? It's a shift in their frame of mind.
And that's where when closing comes down to it, you have negotiation, you have like learning earlier. See, people who don't close a deal, there's something they missed earlier on. So in sales, we teach the sales process can be, if you do it better, if you look at, it's not about doing it wrong or doing it right, because I don't believe in success or failure. Those words do not belong in my dictionary. Success, it's flattering, it's deceitful, and it helps me level up in my life. I don't want it. Failure can sabotage me. So instead, I look at both as growth. Success or failure, I grew. So in your sales process, it's okay. You're doing it. You're doing it great. You're working hard. You're doing something. Everyone has a sales process, whether it's 2 touches and you're 12 too little, or whether it's 15 or 20 and you actually have too many that are just blah and not really great connection and they just fall in the promotion folder. Whatever the sales process is like, we always teach there's just look at your current and let's just do it a little bit better. But how do you get ahead of the close? How do you ask better questions up front that identify obstacles earlier on? How do you help them to see and discover that moving forward, going ahead and moving forward with you is actually the best? And so by leading in with questions or, hey, the market's doing this, or, hey, I've helped people, like these strategies, these tactics, these scripts that we're going to unpack at Accelerate. We unpacked at Energize with you back in January, but at Accelerate, we're going to unpack very, very deeply and go deeper. Let me just give a quick little a closing is what I call a natural progression of a really good conversation. That's all it is. Closing is a natural progression of a really good conversation where that person basically has fallen in love with you throughout this process. The problem with most real estate agent sales process is they have no temperature along the way. They have no idea. If they're on touch number 12, they have no idea. But how do they feel about me? They're just like, I just have all these steps. So, all right.
And it falls into the mindset, though. It falls into the mindset of, I did what I was supposed to do. No. You're always supposed to do a lot more than you think that you're doing, right? And for me, when I look at these guys, it's the difference between the agent that calls their leads once a week or the agent that calls their leads 3 times a day for a week. You know, which one is going to get the result, the return? One of our mentors, Bill Hillestad, he made the point. He said, well, you can have somebody call a lead 12 times in a year, or you can do something like I did with this agent, and she called them 128 times in less than 30 days, and she closed the deal. Which one do you think it is, right? Like, just think about it from the perspective of, how do you guys communicate? You communicate every single day, which is why there's reciprocity, there's the relationship, there's that bond, right? Same thing with us. If we just communicated that much more, and we cared a little bit more than we cared of the transaction, then it'll be much easier for us to want to have those conversations, because it's just a simple like, hey, how's it going? This is what I have of value that I can offer you today. Hopefully it's useful and helpful, but let me check in on you first. And again, checking that temperature. But most of them, for some reason, they get in their own way of completing these things, right? And when we think back to the third high income skill, which is speaking, most people, particularly within this industry, and us, I mean, we're all learning, right? We don't pay attention to the third most common thing that we do. We breathe, That's the number one thing that we do. We sleep. It is the second thing that we do the most. And speaking is the third most important one. But most of them don't pay attention to how they speak to their audience, how they speak to their prospects, how they speak to their leads. And then you wonder why your videos aren't working, your email's not working, your text messages aren't working. Yeah. Things are not moving fast enough for you, because there's a difference between a customer, and this is what I learned in real estate. They are in the business of getting customers. A customer is somebody that wants to learn from you, that wants to understand the process from you, and it's their job to educate those customers and turn them into clients. A client is the person that is buying the house, that's selling the house. But unless you can have the copy to speak to their needs, unless you can go ahead and close them on the reality that, yes, I am going to become a homeowner, I'm going to sell my house for top dollar, and you can speak to them in a way where they actually feel heard about everything that they've told you that they want, that they desire, it's really hard to get through that hump if you don't do any of those things.
Yes. You talked about, Tim, well, two things. Tim talked about better questions in sales. I think Einstein said the quote, "I'm never certain, I'm just passionately curious." Yeah. Right? I love that. And so getting curious not only about your client, but I want to take this back into what Michael's now talking about, which is, are you asking those questions? When my client receives this auto email, how are they going to feel? When they get this LinkedIn DM, when they get this video, when this video goes out, what feeling is it going to ignite within somebody?
Why would they want to?
Why would they want to? Not why didn't they? Right? Why would they? Right? So thinking through it in that way. So be curious about your own process. And when you talk about the steps, of course, the person making 3 calls a day for a week is going to get the deal versus the person making a call a week for 12 weeks. But here's again what a lot of real estate agents get stuck on. I think some are willing to make the touches. It goes back to, how am I touching? What am I saying? Mm-hmm. What am I doing? And so we teach that strategic process of, and you kind of alluded to it. Hey, how are you? I thought you might find this interesting. Are you differentiating your touches? And do you have, it's not just a random, I was scrolling Facebook and I saw this post, so let me now text this. You might have some of that in your sales process. And those things are good, right? Or you were driving by and you're trying to help this client find a house down here in Falls Church. And so you're driving by and they told you they needed a pet groomer, and you saw the pet groomer. You're like, take a picture. Oh, this is a great place here you need to know about. That's all good. But you need to have a strategy to those steps. What different value steps are you going to be doing that with every client? Does that make sense? So that's kind of what we're getting at here is, you're being told, go make all these calls. And then you're sitting there and you're like picking up the phone. That's like, you ready to buy yet? You ready to buy yet?
So it's a set.
Ready to buy yet? And you kill the lead because you don't have a plan to accelerate, right? You don't have a plan on, these are the value added touches I'm making 3 times a day for a week.
So one of the things that Josh has been doing during like our weekly accountability and support calls with our clients, he's really helping them develop this like experience wheel of, well, what is the next step and what happens next? Can you touch on that?
Yeah, and I don't know where this thought came from, but it's like the whole concept of the next logical step. So logically, what is the next step that people should take? And I was thinking like a lot of marketing problems and business problems or problems in general be solved if people just knew what they needed to do next and knew what was on the other side. So part of what we've been doing is breaking down the entire process and mapping out, what are people going to experience when they work with you? What are you doing with them? What are the conversations that you have? And a lot of it is like blending the marketing, the sales, like all of the different activities that people are doing on a day-to-day basis, that we kind of get blind to the things that we're helping people out with in a certain way, like the benefits that people get when jumping on a home buyer consultation. Like, what are all those things that you go through? And it's kind of shifting the perspective with our clients on, it's not just like this haphazardly thrown together strategy, you could say. It's like, let's plan this out and let's map this out, because the things that we can make predictable in your business allow you to then focus on all the other things that you need to be doing, like going to just popping by people's house, or being active in your community, or just like doing human things and acting like a human. But you need to have that infrastructure in place in order to be a human.
Yeah. We talked a lot of like and that's what you hear. Make all these calls, tactics. how to make a video, tactics. Then we go out there and get lost because we don't have what you just said, a strategy of where are we at and what are we moving towards, and how do I set the context? Right now, we have to articulate our value exchange better than we've ever done it. We've gotten in the real estate world as a whole, we've gotten lazy with articulating the value exchange. That's why the whole NAR thing is here.
So in your guys' opinion, then why is that the case? Number one, and two, how can they then start cutting through some of that noise? Because if they don't, they just question themselves. And do I know how to articulate my value? What's my unique value proposition? I help a homeowner get their home. No, like that's the outcome, So
I'll go at it from a very basic approach first, and then we're going to lay around value listing stuff. And I want to hear your thoughts on this too, because you're in the trenches, one-on-one real estate agents every day on the process piece. And why do people get lazy or articulating value? It goes back to the old adage in sales that once you get good at something, then you slap off, right? You got success in sales, and I love your growth mindset. Success is growth, failure is growth. People get jaded on the basics. Let me explain. First-time home buyer. If you've been a real estate agent for a long time, there are probably things that when you started out, when you were really getting good at sales, you were helping people understand these basics so very well that you were so thorough. But over time, we get jaded because in our own brains, we're like, this is so simple because we've done it a million times.
We all do.
So we skim over these things, right, with our prospective clients. We don't take the time to invest on the very basic things that demonstrate value, because in our brain, that's not that big of a deal because we've done it so many times.
And we tend to not value the things that we get extremely good at.
Yes, and I check myself all the time when I'm speaking, because in my head, I'm like, I've told this story before, or when I'm doing a class, it's like, I've shared this before. To me, it's not that big of a deal. I have to make sure I understand everyone in that room, everyone in that class or on that webinar that I'm doing. That's probably a very big deal to them. Yeah. So I can't, this constant yin and yang, the reason people lost the edge, I guess, in articulating value, in my opinion, is we got a little jaded and too comfortable with our process, where we just started expecting stuff to happen and we weren't actually taking the steps to go deep with our clients. And therefore, they just felt like a transaction. They just were a customer the whole time. So,
and I want to hear, because I want to pass this to you, but at the very basic human psychology level, a class action lawsuit happens. Why? Like, why can that happen? Right? Buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse. You bought into something. It's like when I was 18 and bought into the MLM system with my friend. And then after about 3 months, I went back to her and said, I'd like my money back. It was buyer's remorse, right? And understanding what an MLM was way back when. Amway or whatever it was. But anyway, it's like, I get it. I bought it. I made the decision. But I also felt scammed. It felt dirty at the end. It was buyer's remorse. So then looking at a settlement statement, I'm like, what? I didn't even see the person. Couple of phone calls. That's what that, and so buyer's remorse things. So I'm just, again, whether you're doing a great job articulating your value or whether we need to re-up, or whether what Andrew said, we need to get back down to the basics. I think right now is a golden opportunity to actually leverage some of the headlines to a positive, to say, hey, you're probably seeing this. I want you to know this is what I do. This is really kind of getting back into some of the nitty gritty back office of what we're doing as agents for home buyers and sellers. We're making the America dream possible. We're working way too hard many days. How can we do that with clarity of speech to articulate today? And the other thing is accelerate in my mind is you're running in a path. There's a lot of real estate agents out there. The ones who are going to be accelerate are the ones who say, I want to be ahead of that path. I was talking to a top producer in Petersburg, Virginia just the other day, and she says, I've been on the top of the list for the last 10 years. And over the last 2 years, I'm dropping it. Consistently dropping it. And I don't know what she's been doing. She's been successful. She's been top producer, and it's driving her nuts. And she's having some of these people come in with head tech, and she's feeling overwhelmed and falling behind. And I was like, okay, where are you at on social? She's like, I'm like, stop. Let's pick one platform, but I'm going to show you a strategy in your sales process, how to point everybody to your platform, how to say, hey, everybody, here's my party's going on. So these real estate agent signs feel I got to master all the parties. I got to be top of mind on every platform. And I would say you're trying to do too much. I want to give people permission to put up guardrails. But anyway, back to the NAR, like in your mind, is it as simple as buyer's remorse? Is it as simple as not articulating our value?
Yeah, I think you guys hit the nail on the head with that. Nothing really else to add. But as far as the event goes with Accelerate, what are some takeaways that you want people to have after they leave the event?
Yeah. So number one, I think the big thing is know how to identify. There's like a couple components, I think, in order to really mash the gas, you need to be good at. We all say this, but we say it in different ways. And the way we approach the different things we teach, they all mirror the same thing. But number one is figure out who your best client is. Number two, you need to know who you are. Knowing who you are allows you to put the guardrails up to say, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I'm going to align my ideal client with me, my brand. And then what strategies, processes, and tools do I actually need to make all that happen so I can mash the gas? So when people leave Accelerate for me, I really want them to know exactly how to identify their ideal client, who they are what is their brand. We all have one. We have to identify it. If you don't know your brand and what you're good at, know what to say no to, you need to be able to do that. And then you're going to know where to click, where to go, what tools you need to make those things happen for you, and how to use those tools. So that's what my goal is in grading. Like, not talking about how you need to go do more, probably need to do less, and more of less.
Yeah. And more specifically, AI. And when it comes to,
I'll focus heavily on AI. Yeah, sure. If there's some super great strategies we teach just from a time save and a streamlining of what real estate agents do every day, that are like awesome, and I think a lot of people aren't tapped into yet. But yeah, what would you want people to take away from a sales process?
From a sales standpoint, right now, I think there are absolutely probably some gaps in all of our sales process. What are those gaps? Because those are costing us deals. So identify the gaps, and then surefire proof ways, and I'll show the ways, very human, like rehumanized ways to connect with people. Real quick, you talk about video and trying to make a video go viral on social. I just landed $1 million client running through a graveyard this morning, just doing in my tank top, doing a video to that person. And we're talking, and it's like, so in the sales process, like, what are you, like, video's great, but like, I didn't take anything. I didn't have to do any extra work, no production, no nothing. I just did this video to this person. But it's, so rehumanize connections, finding those gaps. The other thing is low-hanging fruit right now in your database. Your best leads are your past clients. Your best referral partners, your past clients, your past referral partners. And so many times we've lost touch with, and we're always looking for the new. So in the sales process, it's your sales process, the gaps, finding low-hanging fruit in your database. And I think just, again, having some of the tools and the tool stack in a sales process, because some of us are stuck in the email, and we really need to be leveraging some video and some text messaging and some omni-channel approach to our sales. So accelerating that lead conversion. What about you? What are you excited about people taking away?
I think the biggest thing I want them to walk away with is clarity and confidence. When I say clarity, it's all of them are currently being sold and pitched on different ways to build more brand awareness, more traffic, right? But traffic is but one part of an entire marketing system and sales system. So when you think about, you got to do video, you got to post on social media, you got to send out emails, you got to build a newsletter, you got to write a blog, you got to work on your website. You need to learn how to do the open houses. You need to upgrade your listing presentations. You got to do all of these things. We know that, right? Still, that's just traffic, and that's just generating traffic. So when you think about talking about the gaps in a person's business from a marketing standpoint, it's typically going to be one of three. It's going to be they need to work on their brand and the awareness that they bring to their brand, meaning the traffic. But building traffic, it's relatively cheap and easy. So what happens when you're building traffic? You need to have a way to source that traffic into a lead-getting system. So once you have a lead-getting system and you no longer have that issue happening within your business or going on, then what's the next issue that you need to tackle? It's conversions. And that's really when the sales process begins. It's like once you have the contacts in your database, what are you doing to follow up with them with email, text messages, AI, calling them, retargeting them? And I think if we can go ahead and give them a very clear path on how to actually execute on this, reinforce them with the confidence and the clarity that they can actually do this, they're going to walk away better business people. I don't want them to walk away as better realtors, because selling a house is one thing. That's what you do once the person has said, yes, I'm going to do this. But I want them to walk away better marketers and better salesmen, because that is when they can genuinely not just present their unique value proposition, but they can genuinely think about their business as a business, not just as an activity that my coach or my guru or so-and-so said on Instagram. Like, no. Let's actually do things that are tangibly going to create a positive effect from this point forward with any conversations that you have. And if they walk away with that, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I think you guys all touched on it already, but like predictability is uncertainty is like what their next steps should be and what they should be doing in their own situation. Touching a little bit earlier, you mentioned, I got a deal off of social media. You not saying this, but you talking about people that do this, but they do some tactics, they get a deal off social media, and then they start selling their coaching course on how to do it exactly like them. And I heard this the other day. It was on a Welcome to Cloudlandia podcast, and it's with Dean Jackson, Dan Sullivan. And I love this so much, this distinction between building your business like a vending machine as opposed to a slot machine. And a lot of times people business owners in general, I 100% am faulty I do this also. It's you go in and you crank the lever, and then you see all of the different things coming up, and then you do it again and you do it again, and then you see, I get 2 oranges that pop up. And it's that false sense of like, it's cruel optimism. That's what they talk about. And if you hit those patterns every once in a while, and you say, see, it worked, you justify your delusion towards this activity. And as opposed to treating it like, do those simple activities, treating it like a vending machine and getting a predictable result from that. So I think all the stuff that we've been talking about is just laying the roadmap for people to be able to have certainty in what they should be doing in order to build a predictable business for themselves. So I think certainty and predictability with all the activities that you should be focusing on within your business.
For you to say certainty, that's one of the 6 human needs, right? Based on like what Tony Robbins and they teach. We want to build certainty in having predictable results, but we also want them to be uncertain enough to know that they can always do better. The reason why is because if you were to do that same exact video every single day, and every single day you were to get $1 million deal, pretty soon it would become a job and you would hate it. Yeah. And you would stop wanting to do it, right? So
everybody needs that video.
Exactly.
Right.
And so understanding that there's a need for certainty as much as there's a need for uncertainty is very important. Yet, I think where real estate agents who are going to come to the Accelerate event, where they're going to get the most bang for their buck, is genuinely realizing it's not as hard as I make it out to be. It doesn't have to be me mistaking activity for progress. It can simply be as easy as picking the one channel, deciding what of value I'm going to deliver, how I'm going to deliver it, and knowing how to work the back ends so that predictably I can go ahead and say, I am building a business. Because in my opinion, those agents, and there's plenty of them that say, I'm by referral only, I only work my sphere, they don't have businesses. If referrals go away tomorrow, for whatever reason they stop getting referrals, you don't have a business. If your sphere of influence, it's outside the city and there's no one to help you, you don't have a business. So this is the best way for them to look at their life and business and say, let's execute.
Yeah, one of the things I know they're going to walk away from Accelerate with is a list of high value activities. And one of the things I say all the time is we coach in so many different brokerages. It's good to have voices outside of your brokerage. It's good to have voices outside of your, chamber, because we can all have that echo chamber, like live in that environment. And so being able to hear from multiple perspectives over all the different states that we're in, I think is going to be powerful. And some of the speakers we're bringing, I think that's going to give you that get outside of your own sometimes bubble or echo chamber to see what someone else is doing successfully. What are some high value activities as a business owner, not just as a real estate agent, but as a business owner, high value activities. And then also where it comes to like social media and video production and getting clients in the sales process, what is ROI? What does that mean? What does that actually mean for you as a business owner? So busy versus actually productive. And then being able to take that productive mindset and then apply the certainty and the predictability with it. So that every time I'm going to put my quarter in, there's something coming out the other side.
Yeah.
I love that vending machine versus slot machine.
Well, I'll teach you one, right? And I want to be clear on something like sometimes the every time, right? And we have a need for immediacy. Tim, you and I talk about the micro vitality a lot, shiny object syndrome. Like we need something that's going to give me something tomorrow. And it's real. Sometimes I got to pay the mortgage. I got this thing going on in my life. Like we work with real estate agents and lenders in the space, called the trifecta of real estate, right? Title, lenders, real estate agents. And there's an immediacy to like, if I put this in, I need to get that out right away. And I think it's important. And what we really want to help everyone that comes to Accelerate know is you need to identify your process, your channels, those things you're going to do that you're going to commit to. And here's the beauty of it. I think all of us have probably committed to something at one point in our life where we felt the buyer's remorse because we went a whole year doing something, didn't get the result we wanted, right? Maybe in sales, maybe in marketing, maybe it was a product. They sold us a bill of goods, whatever. Everything you're going to get from Accelerate that we bring in, our speakers that we have coming in are bringing, is practiced. It's proven and practiced.
We're doing it.
Yeah. So there's no uncertainty of like, these are good ideas. That's more of a slot spin. No, it's like, these are systems and processes that drive a specific result. Now, those are all going to be a little bit different based on your ideal client, based on who you are as a person, and based on your capacity to do certain things. Like all of us are not going to have a studio we can use like we're in today with cameras. That's totally fine. You don't need that. But all of us have an iPhone. So we're going to break down like, where do you fit? And then what process do you need to commit to for the next year? How are you going to make 2025 your best year? That's what Accelerate's all about.
So do they need to commit or do they need to have the courage? Because one comes before the other.
Yeah.
Right. So Dan Sullivan has this thing where he talks about the 4 C's. It's courage, commitment, capabilities, confidence, right? So I think anyone that comes to Energize needs to have the courage to look at themselves in the mirror and say, maybe I know a lot of things, but I don't know it all, and I want to be open enough to learn, right? So they need to have the courage to say to themselves, I am going into this with an open mind to learn and see what fits into the nuggets of my business, what fits into the different spokes of my business, right? Because they have the courage to do that. They'll come with the commitment to get something out of it. One of the coolest things that you can do going into an event like this is just kind of asking yourself, what am I looking to get out of it? And having that predisposition of, I'm not just going to show up because it's another event. They all do that. But if you know what you're looking to get out of this event ahead of time, you're going to have the commitment of, that's what I'm looking for. And then your brain activates and starts searching for that. And whether it's a nugget coming from you, one of our speakers, from you, like, it doesn't matter. They'll find it, right?
Correct.
What they're going to get out of that by having the courage, by committing, we're giving them the capabilities, right? They build the capabilities. They understand the capabilities. They know what they need to do. They know how to do it. And then, again, funny enough, it just boils back down to they leave the room confident because for once, it wasn't one of those things, but there's more. Just sign up for my $4.99 class, but there's more if you sign up for this continuity program. And yeah, we have those, but we're not going to sit there and just make that one massive sales pitch.
Yeah.
It's literally about walking out of that event a better entrepreneur, a better business owner. Because if they do that and we look at 2025, Accelerate Part 2, hopefully, right? What happens then? They come back and they say, that was transforming. It changed the way that I operate. And because of that, I want to continue learning more. And what happens then? They've made more money. They've made better decisions. They've built better relationships. They have a business that is driven with a lot more purpose. And for that reason alone, I think that's when we start building a tribe of people who genuinely want to do this as a business for the greater good of the buyer, the seller, each other, the industry, you know?
You talked earlier about the go-giver mentality. We do free events all the time. We do, because I believe in being the go-giver, giving value to our marketplace at all times. And we do it along with our title partners in the industry. Why you're getting invited right now, why you're receiving any of the drips or podcast or invite to Accelerate is because everybody at these free events asks for the next level. They say, okay, I'm in. I want to go deeper. I spent $1,500 on this 2-day thing in Atlanta, Georgia, and I took more out of 30 minutes with Andrew than I did there. I want more. So why are we even investing our time into doing Accelerate? Because our people, our phones are saying, I want more. So here's what I'm asking everybody. Are you going to commit to slowing down, to stop working in your business for a second and work on your business? Are you going to commit to do less so that you can do infinitely more? We need permission to do that. And I'm here to tell you, I'm a millennial giving you permission to do that. You're the next generation of leaders in the real estate market. You're hardworking. You got into this because you care. You love people. And we're going to show you how to build a business out of it, be business people, and surround yourself in a room of like-minded. It's why the ticket price is not free this time. It's because we're only looking for the commit. So get registered and be in the room. I'm excited.
I'm 100%. There is no, you're 100% right. We chew a lot of pre-trading. This is absolutely, everyone says, oh, this is the next level. Like, here's our commitment to everybody. This is the next level. We come with value first. We're not out there selling back-end coaching programs. This is not a timeshare pitch. This is nothing. This is about helping our communities, the people we love and care for, the people we work with every single day. Tim, you and I across the entire Mid-Atlantic. You guys are here in the DMV, Northern Virginia, Maryland, DC. We are all here to help and add more value and give you the above the seas, man. And I agree with you 100%. It takes courage to make a commitment. You're going to get the capabilities you need to come out. And my favorite word in the world, Tim keeps telling me to get a tattoo, is you're going to be able to come out and go execute on the things that matter to your business. Simplify so you can accelerate. Do not try. Do it, not try.
Trying is expecting failure, you know?
I'll try it. I tried CrossFit once.
Yeah. But doing it over an extended period of time, even if it gets uncomfortable, even if it becomes uncertain, even if it becomes treacherous and painful, you know, the person that walks out on the other side is going to be thanking you for it. And that's just like anything else. They've been through it before they even got licensed. They probably had a different life. I don't think a person wakes up one day and says, I want to be a real estate agent. You know, they needed to have the courage to go through that and build a commitment to learn the process, study up, get tested. And most importantly, they faced that yet again when they had their first deal, their second deal. So it's nothing that they haven't experienced before. I think what they get out of just being in the room is a group of individuals that are going to push them through that valley of despair, through that valley of despair where they're saying to themselves, this shit's not working for me, so I quit. I'm going to try the next shiny object. I'm going to try the next strategy, the next set of tactics. It's going to be a group of people that says, no, you keep going and you keep going until they learn that, if I just keep going, maybe, just maybe. It's kind of like that meme. Have you guys seen that meme of the guy that quit picking and the one that's like 1 inch away from all the diamonds?
Yeah.
You know, it's that. And that's kind of the life that they build for themselves. And for some reason, they just don't continue picking and getting to the diamond. So I think, you know, this is going to be for those that genuinely want to get to the gems that they can find in their business. So
that's right.
I'm excited, boys.
We're excited. Ryan Holiday, the obstacle is the way. Your results lie on the other side of the work that you unwilling to do. All right, let's go. Get registered somewhere around this video.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That'll be great.